Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Pints and Quarts, the show from Craft Beer Nation, where we talk with a guest and then talk about some news, some special releases, and some festivals from around the nation. I am Matt Miller, and I've got a full panel here on the show tonight. This Thursday night, everybody lined up. We've got Vicky Perigin, Lola Laracy, Randy Gardner Jr., Charles Dunkley, and Gil Mello. Doug Nolan will be joining us just shortly. And our guest this evening is a photographer. And Paul's a guy that's been around Craft Beer Nation for a while. He's a professional photographer, which probably means a few people pay him. I think he's got a day job too, but we'll get all into that. But his last name is he's Paul Varricchione, and if you follow him on Google Plus, you'll see some great photographs. Right now, he's flooding the world with pictures of his daughter, but I think he might be a bit of a proud dad there. But he does take great beer pictures along with those other great pictures of life. So, Paul, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it, man.
Well, fantastic. We're all of us are amateur photographers in one way or the other. We all take pictures of our beer, and some of us use what is that program that? Oh man, where you put all the you make it look like it's a 100-year-old photo. I'm trying to think what it's called. Instagram or the filters and whatnot. I'm stupid when it comes to this.
Talking about filters.
Filters, yeah. So I just take the picture and then upload it, talk about the beer. So, but some of these folks are a little more artistic when it comes to that. But I am very interested in hearing what it takes to get lighting right and angles right and all that kind of good stuff. So Paul, you've brought some examples. So dive in a little bit about your background, a little bit about what you think.
Let's see. I started as a video guy, so I was all into video footage and all that stuff. And then the DSLR started becoming popular with video, and it was very good for video guys because you could change the lenses and get the shallow depth of field and that real cinema look. So I dove into grabbing a DSLR, and shortly after that, I discovered that hey, it could take pictures. So once I found that out, I found out they took really good pictures, and I kind of became immersed in that, and it took my attention away from the video aspect of the camera, and I just fell in love with that and pictures altogether. And I just like stills. I think they can tell a better story without having to actually tell you a story. You can make up what you want about a photo, what's going on with it. So stills is where I'm at right now, and every aspect of photography I am into. So you name it, I'm there.
Well, that's pretty exciting. You live in the Northeast, correct?
Yeah, I live in Vermont, in New England. And,
well, good. So you'll have all the seasons that will come through there, so you get all those great pictures.
We have all the seasons. We've got all the colors in the fall. We've got the snow, and we have a 2-month summer.
and all the heady topper he can drink.
Yeah.
I grew up in Pennsylvania, and we called it construction. Is what we call it.
That's the same here. So these days, you've got so many people taking pictures of the food, and we call them foodies, right? Well, I'm going to call us brewies, us people that like to take pictures of our beer, and we do it with everything that we have, which is typically the cell phone, right? I'm assuming everybody here uses their cell phone to take photos.
Me.
Yeah.
Raise your hand, yeah.
Yeah.
I use mine. I use many things. Well, cell phones are great. Any camera is great. It really does not matter what camera you use to get a great shot. There are a few key things involved in photography to get a good shot. The biggest thing is lighting. So as long as your light is good, you will get nice crisp colors. You won't have grain. I know I'm sure a lot of you have been in a bar or something where it's a very low light situation and you've tried to get that. I've got this one beer I can't get at my store, but I can get it at the bar right now, and you try to get that shot, and it's just grainy, and it's not what you wanted. Lighting is going to fix everything with that, and I know that in that situation, it's not the best thing to. It's not the easiest thing to get good lighting, but fortunately,
my biggest defense is I use the flash, and I think that
yes,
it's a different picture.
That's where I'm going to go with that too as well. Direct light, especially flash, artificial direct light, is very bad for taking beer photos. Natural light is the best thing. If you don't have natural light, the great thing about beers is they're mobile, so you can move them to where there is some better light. I know you might like what's going on in the background of where you're taking the shot, but if you're getting a bad dark shot in the beginning, it's just not going to come out the best. And you got to get that good light. So lighting is key. Focus is another thing that's really important, and I don't think a lot of people pay much attention to this. But I know with cell phones, you tap the screen real quick, and you'll grab your whole shot. But your beer might be out of focus, and then the person that's sitting across from you at the booth is in focus. Every cell phone, especially Apple's, Android, whatever you have, if you push and hold on the screen on the subject that's in the frame that you want to be in focus, push and hold it. It will center the focus on that. So you're going to want the focus on the beer. You want the beer in focus, right? You want to see the label. You want to see the bubbles, the colors, all that stuff, especially once you get that good lighting on this beer. The lighting is key. Lighting, lighting, lighting. So you want that beer in focus. Push and hold on the actual beer in the image of the screen, and you will grab your focus. Then you're ready to shoot. It will do an AF autofocus lock on it. It doesn't matter what camera you have, iPhone or Android. Another thing is composition. Just taking the beer and getting the beer in shot with the glass, and you get your cap leaned up. A lot of people do all that too. That's great and everything, but often when you keep seeing that over and over and over and over again, it just becomes the norm, and you're just like, oh, okay, cool beer. You move on, move on. Change it up a little bit. Change your perspective. I tend to go low and look up at the beer, and then it makes the beer look bigger and the glass look bigger, and it just changes the way that you see the beer. A lot of people are just straight on, boom, and they want to get everything in the shot. So you want the whole glass and the beer in the shot. That's not necessarily the best way to go. Sometimes you can get close and you're missing half the glass, you're missing half the bottle, but you got the whole label, and maybe the glass is a little set behind it. Just get a little artsy with it, like not just straight on, both things side by side with the cap leaning against it all the time. That's great too. I'm not saying those are bad things, but that tends to be like a normal thing that you see, and then you become sensitized to it, and it's not popping. You know what I mean? So try to be creative. And the other thing is apps. Do you guys use apps to do anything with your photos after you shoot, or do you just shoot and upload?
I use apps. I use Snapseed and Pixlr.
Yeah, that's the one I was trying to name earlier.
Snapseed is the one. If you're going to do anything with photos, unfortunately, it's a Google product, so if you're an Android user, you get it for free. If you're an iPhone user, I have an iPod, I have an Android, I have everything. I'm a tech guy, so I have a little bit of everything. So on my iPod, my iPad, I had to pay for it, but it's free on the Android, which is great, and it's an awesome tool. And all I can suggest, I can't tell you everything to do in the short amount of time that I have here. I can't tell you everything to do with Snapseed. That's a whole thing in itself. All I can suggest is play around with everything. Yeah. And the one thing I'm going to let you know on Snapseed, if you can find the ambience adjustment, that's going to save you a lot of time. It's just going to enhance a picture very quickly for you. There's also a selective adjust thing that you can select certain parts of the photo that you want to enhance. Like if let's say that beer label's not quite bright enough or colorful enough, like you see it with your eye in that photo, you can actually manually adjust that stuff. Okay, I know I'm short on time here. I don't even know how much I talked.
Well, that's all right. I can say that pretty much everything you said not to do is exactly how I've been taking every picture. So I've got a lot to learn here. I do have Snapseed installed, but you can say that I never used it because I couldn't remember the name of it was.
Okay. So we've got, most people here use their cell phones, right? Are you guys happy with your photos, or do you think that you could maybe want something a little bit better?
I definitely could use some lighting tips for sure.
I'm happy with mine. I'm happy with mine because, like you said, I go in the Snapseed and
it does some good stuff, right?
Yeah, I like the saturation function too.
Yep, you can increase the color. You want to recreate the color of the beer that you're seeing, but the picture you took didn't quite do that on screen. Yeah. I use several different cameras. Obviously, I use a professional DSLR, which I don't expect anybody to go out and buy, although they do take good family pictures.
I'd have to sell my car to get one of those, though, right?
Also, if you want to step up from your cell phone, I know it's a little bit more money, but the typical point and shoot, this I paid $400 for, but now goes for $240 at Best Buy. It shoots RAW. It's fully manual like a DSLR, but you can change the lenses, and there's a couple other settings that aren't so great. I do use this. It has Wi-Fi built in, and I can send it to my iPad or my cell phone and edit the pictures in Snapseed. And
just be careful what you upload.
Well,
Jennifer,
Yeah, just
I
be
get this.
careful.
This is just going Wi-Fi from this device to my iPod. So
Well, okay, it's not going
if
to
you're
the
shooting
servers.
down, you really don't have anything to worry about.
All right.
Not all of us is kinky as you, Lola.
yeah.
So that's another
That's
cool step. And I'm going to tell you about 80% of the photos that I shoot on Facebook or Google Plus. You're going to see that I took with my my point and shoot here, as opposed to my cell phone. I do have cell phone photos up there, but I typically have my point and shoot with me anyway because I have multiple cameras. So
Yeah, and that one fits in your pocket nicely too. So
exactly. So and it takes great photos. So I typically have that with me. So like I said, 80 to maybe 85, almost 90% of the photos that I do upload to Google Plus are taken with my my point and shoot camera. Charles, could you by any chance bring up some photos and I'll go through real quick? So
before he gets into that, I'll let everybody know that's listening to the podcast. We're gonna look at some pictures now, but if you come to craftbeernation.org or the Google Plus community, you're gonna be able to see these pictures that he's talking about here. But only the YouTube folks are gonna be able to see this in real time. So go ahead, Paul. Charles, we're waiting for Charles. There we go.
Okay. Yep, that was perfect. Is that up right now?
It is.
Yeah.
If you click on a picture.
I've got this now. I'm new to this, folks. I'm sorry. This is a picture of a grassroots brewing beer called Arctic Saison. I happen to take this photo because I noticed that the flowers that are sitting next to were of similar color to the label. Can you see that all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a composition thing, and notice the whole bottle's not in it, just the label is, and a little bit of what's going on in the background. So that's one of the examples of changing composition, not always getting the whole bottle. You don't always have to have the lip of the bottle and the bottom of the bottle in the shot at all times to have a good shot. I just noticed the colors were going great with that. If you could switch to the next photo, that'd be great, Charles. All right, this is what I like to call an action shot. So
That's
this
amazing.
this is another grassroots beer called Arctic Soiree. I don't know if any of you have had a chance to have it, but it is my favorite beer of all time. And I figured I would capture an action shot of me pouring it. I used a tripod for this, and I know a lot of you are using your cell phones. Well, cell phones do have timers on them, and I do have a link that I can share with you that I am going to share with you right now where you can actually get a tripod for your phone, and you can do these action shots just by setting your timer, and when you know the timer's about ready to go off, make sure you're actually pouring to go.
We're going to put
great.
that link in the community too.
Just
Yeah, we'll put
sitting
that
there
as well on
it's
YouTube.
the best way to go. I mean, action you see in a beer and pour is, I mean, I don't need to even see the bottle. I see the color, I see it going into the glass and swirling around, and I'm sold. I'm buying that picture.
Beautiful.
Me too.
You want to switch to the next photo?
Sold.
Actually, was that with your phone or your real camera?
This was with my DSLR, but you can actually do this with a cell phone. You just got to have the timer set up. This is a shot with my point and shoot camera. This is a beer that not a lot of people like, but I am a big fan.
love that beer.
I love it too.
Yeah.
Good beer.
Background elements are great. If you're out in the woods, grab some of that stuff. We want to see everything. Get low. Getting low is the key to some great photography, man. Looking up at stuff, does not beer not look huge. You know that's a little 12-ounce beer.
Right.
When you're
You ever
down in the grass, it's
You ever
grabbing.
had people walk up to you and say, "Dude, why are you laying down on the ground in the forest taking a picture of your
This
beer?"
does happen, but you have to.
For those listening, the beer that we're talking about is Dogfish Head Festina Peach.
Yes,
The new label. Yeah.
one of my favorite summer beers. You
Yeah, I
can
love it
continue
too.
on, Charles.
I think Paul is like I bet I wonder if Paul's wife is like me feels like me when my wife goes out. She has like a camera in, like a pocket camera. Her cell phone is like, really, you're gonna go out with me like that?
I always have all three usually. This is another action shot. This is another Arctic Saison by Grassroots Brewing.
I'm
Again,
going to reshare.
Yeah, sorry, we lost Charles. Charles is bringing the share back up. That was the same picture of the same pouring session?
no, this was a different pouring session. But composition also does not always necessarily mean the center of the frame. Sometimes moving things to just the side adds a great element of action. So it kind of draws your eye from the right to the left, looking at the beer pouring. This can add great dramatic effect to photos. And,
doing one of those with that glass I sent you would just be phenomenal.
The glass you sent me, unfortunately, the glass that you sent me, the labels all tore off in my dishwasher. I probably should not have used my dishwasher.
Oh yeah, I probably should have told you not to use your dishwasher.
Yeah, they eventually flaked off within a few weeks of owning them, unfortunately. Yeah. Maybe at some point I can get a couple more.
We'll have some for
anyway,
buy the next ones.
You can move on to the next photo. And if we're running out of time here, man, you can stop me at any time.
No, we're doing great.
Okay.
Oh, that's a cool picture.
Oh, yes, I can see what it is. All right, so this is a great example of what we call shallow depth of field. That's where you want the background out of focus and your subject in focus. And having both the beer and the actual bottle in focus at the same time is not always necessarily the thing that you have to do. I know a lot of people try to get both at once, but sometimes it's hard, especially if you're using a better camera than a cell phone, because more often than not, the lens will try to pick up one item that's slightly a little more towards you than the other. I did this one on purpose. I set the beer back a little bit because I wanted that label to pop, and I think that it made the whole thing great. You can still get an idea of what the color of the beer looks like. The color's not going to change, just the focus. So having both in focus at all times is not necessarily the best way to go, and I think you're going to find a lot of the times your camera, whether it be a cell phone point and shoot or a DSLR, might be fighting one or the other. So it's better to just decide on one thing, one element over the other, and make that one stand out more.
My main concern is, how did that beer taste? What was
that
that?
Beer was phenomenal, and it was only available like a case of 12 was at a store, and then it was gone.
Barrel-aged Berliner Brown. So that's a cherry dark sour lager.
You got it, and it was great.
Wow.
Jack's Abbey. All right, Charles.
All right, so this was a play on light. So this was shot in complete darkness using my DSLR. You can, and even there's certain apps you can get for your phones that will allow you to do this too, where you can do what's called a long exposure. It will hold the sensor open, the shutter open for a long period of time, and it will capture what's going on in that period of time. With cell phones, this is probably not as easily done, even though there are apps for it. iPhone users, unfortunately, you cannot use manual things for your phone. Apple has decided this is the best you're going to get, and you will not play with it. And iPhones do shoot great photos, so it's better to not play with them anyway. But this one in particular was shot with a DSLR, and I shot it at 30 seconds, and I waved some color stuff in the back of the bottle in complete darkness, and it came up with this. You can move on from this now. This is a little more advanced and high-tech, but I thought it was a cool thing. Here's another example of composition that I was talking about where you don't need everything in the shot at once. This looks pretty cool just having that label. That's a really cool label. This happens to be one of my favorite beers, which I can't get until autumn again. But,
I'm starting to sense a theme in your beer selection here, Paul.
Saison.
I think it might just be, Matt, the photos that are giving the examples of what I'm talking about. Yeah. I kind of stick with what I like. So, So again, the whole glass isn't in this shot. The whole bottle's not in this shot. But you get a little bit of everything, and it's kind of up close and in your face. I might have even, looking at this one again, I might have even done it a little bit different. But, again...
So it looks like the light in that picture is coming in pretty hard from the side.
Okay, good example of app usage. Is that label was pretty dark, but I used Snapseed to brighten that label up a little bit. I used the selective adjust, and I just grabbed the label, and I brought the saturation down and the brightness up, and it brought back the brightness of the label. So using apps can enhance, especially the Snapseed. Snapseed is a great app.
All right, this show brought to you by Snapseed.
I can't talk highly enough of it for a free app. It is great.
Yeah, for free. I dig free things.
Yep.
So. All right, Charles.
I'm almost taking all of your time here, so you guys can cut me off at any time.
We'll just kick through them. This is good stuff. Can you see the next picture, Paul? He's got the next one up.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I see it down there now. All right, so this was a crooked stave. This is another example of my shallow depth of field that I used, which you can get with Cell phones, you just have to make sure that you're pushing and holding on the screen on the item that you want in focus. Once you get that in focus, and make sure you pull it away from what's in background. So the closer the background is to the item that you're trying to shoot, the less of that blurry background you're going to get. So you want some distance between it. You can move right on.
I think Google, right in the camera app, will let you do depth of field stuff too, right?
On the S5, I know for sure it does that. It'll let you switch back and forth between the focus being on the object that's in the front and the object that's in the back. You can switch back and forth.
Yeah, you will take pictures from both. You will take pictures from both ends, and then you can just do both pictures, which is pretty cool actually.
Right. That's the same shot, no?
Yeah, it's still yeah, there we go. Oh, there we go. Now we're
Okay.
Now I'm damn hungry.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
use food with your photos too. Don't always make the concentration on the beer. So this shot is obviously concentrating on that bison burger that you see with blue cheese over the top with some red onion. Hello. The beer in the background, as you might recognize, is the brewery's Eau de Tart.
That's a fantastic beer.
It's great, right? So that's not in focus. But that burger drew your eyes to that beer. And as beer drinkers, you're obviously going to focus on that beer.
I don't know. I'm kind of staring at that burger right now.
Beer.
But anyway, in regards to the food, it can totally enhance the beer shot. So you can go on, like, incorporate food, man. Try to add all kinds of stuff. It makes the beer pretty.
I try to incorporate food in about everything I do, but I think that's a problem.
I'm right there with you, Matt.
All right, here we go. Now we got like a French angle kind of thing here going
This
on.
shot's a little bit of an angle, yeah. Shoot stuff at, like, they call it a Dutch angle, actually, but you're
Oh,
close.
I knew there was a foreign country in there.
Yep, there's a little angle there, but this one's about contrast. See how that's my living room, and it's very drab. There's not much color going on. But I was in one summer. I was having this this Ep.013. Allagash is awesome, and I noticed the color of it, and just bringing it into that room, I noticed it stood out from everything. So contrast is great too. So if you can get like a really colorful beer on something with a background that's not very colorful at all, like a white wall, a white countertop, anything, it'll stick out like that, and it just draws you right in. It's a great shot. That was also shot with my point and shoot. That was not shot with a DSLR or a cell phone. I do, like I said, 85 to 90% of my shots are with my point and shoot. It's worth about $200 now. You can do no wrong. They all have Wi-Fi built in. It's like better than a cell phone. Cell phones are great too, but you get in some low light situations, and the point and shoot will help you out in that aspect.
So, Paula, you are a photographer for. Is that what you do for a living, or do you have a?
Oh no, I have a full time, but okay. I definitely have work coming in on the side with my photography stuff. I live in a very low populated area, so it's not steady enough to be a full time gig.
Not enough marriages and bar mitzvahs going on. No?
There's a lot of marriages, man, but that's a whole.
Oh yeah, you're in Vermont, yeah.
Please don't go to Syria and Iraq to take pictures for the Associated Press or anything like that, man.
I'm not into beheading. So if you want to move on to the next photo. Nice. Oh yeah, this I took in Maine. I went to Maine, Old Orchard Beach. This was also taken with my point and shoot. It is a Goose Island Sophie, which we can't get here in Vermont because of gravity reasons for some reason, which is stupid because we have all the other Goose Islands. This is another example of composition where the beer is not in the center, but it's actually showing you a little bit of what's going on in the background too. They got some people there, look at that bird.
Yeah, that's an awesome picture, man.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Yeah, that was one shot, and I don't even think I edited that. I think it just came out good. So the point and shoot, I really cannot advocate it enough. I do love it. You can do anything with your cell phones. You really can. I'm not denouncing the cell phone. I'm just telling you from my own personal experience. I use my point and shoot more than I use my DSLR at this point right now. I use my DSLR to go shoot portraits of people that are paying me big money for that. And my little point and shoot's like my guy. Like I got to bring it with me. I always have my cell phone, but I have the HTC One. I don't know if any of you have this. I don't know what you have for phones. I'm not really happy with the photo quality of this HTC One, but I do see a lot of iPhone photos that I'm very, very happy with. I think I might just have the cell phone.
Well, they call that the HTC One because like only one guy in America bought it. So
that's me.
We just met him.
Got it.
So.
Yeah, the camera of the HTC One I think it's only 5, and then it went to 8.
Oh, no,
no, it's 4 ultra pixels or something like that.
Yeah, so it's like 8. It's 8 ultra pixels, 4 real pixels or something. I don't know. Anyway, I tend to not use my cell phone. but I mean, I've seen plenty of cell phone pictures that are great.
Well,
so
especially if you've got a point and shoot that if you're not watching, you didn't see it. It was really only 3 inches by 2 inches or something. It was a tiny little camera, so the point and shoot. So you can slip that in your pocket everywhere you go too.
Yep. Oh, it's perfect. I have a little case for it and everything. So
He said the point and shoot is like my guy. I gotta take him
That's my
everywhere.
guy.
that's my guy.
Yeah. All right.
So,
here's the dogfish
This
head.
next photo is another action shot. The glassware on that glass piece was about $80. It's
it's
hand-woven.
Yeah.
So adding some nice glass will give you a good shot too. Please excuse my wallpaper. I get flack for that wallpaper.
Yeah, really, that is you are Scottish, not Italian. You're
But
Scottish.
again, another action shot. So you can move on. Action shots, I think they're cool.
They are.
Again, just another perspective shot looking up. I'm actually drinking this beer right now. I did not take the shot today, but I am drinking this same beer. Again, just like the down looking up, just gives it some kind of perspective that I like. And again, I excuse the wallpaper.
It isn't that bad. I mean, it isn't like
It's manly.
orange and brown flowers from the '60s or something. Yeah.
No, that's back there.
Yeah, in the room.
What do you got next? We must be getting close to done.
We must be.
Yeah, we are.
Oh, there's some lobsters with some
Okay.
steak.
Here's some more food incorporation, which is more along the fun side. As you can see, there's a little positive contact going on with those lobsters. There's with that beer. So yeah, these last two are just fun. If you want to go right along to the next one. This is another example of shallow.
All right, we're muting Paul right now.
Yeah. That's your go-to beer. You got your go-to camera and your go-to beer. A little Bud Light Lime action for you.
After I bought all my camera gear, this was all I could afford to go buy at the store.
That's right. I think I'd sell my camera. I think is what I would do.
It looks pretty though.
I think that's the end of the slideshow.
That is the end of the slideshow. If any of you had any questions, go for it. I don't know. I seem to be taking up the whole show here.
Well, you are the whole show. You're the guest tonight. So, and it's
Yep.
important. It's important. And I guess the takeaway from this is get some apps on your phone. If you're gonna, like you said, probably 8 out of 10 people take pictures with their phone. So,
Right.
take the picture with your phone, load it into Snapseed, and play around with the settings.
First, make sure you have good lighting on your subject, because without that, your phone's going to take a crappy picture. So that's really what we're about here. Lighting.
And focusing,
Cell
right?
phones are great, but they do not have great sensors. So if it's not good lighting, they're not going to get the best quality color. They're not going to be sharp. They're going to be grainy. It's going to have a hard time grabbing focus. Focus is a key thing in your shots. You're really going to want a lot of light on your photos. And the flash is not the light you want. You want natural light. I can show you like what I'm using to light myself right now. I'm using indirect light, but I'm reflecting it off the ceiling. I have a clamp light. This is shooting it off the ceiling and bouncing back down on me. If I was to put that right on my face, I would be blown out white. You wouldn't be able to make any of my features out. Lighting is key. So and learn how to play with it. Like I said, you have the freedom to move your beer and your glass to where your camera's really liking what it looks like. So play with that. Like when you see light coming in a window, like use that light. You don't have to be limited to just where you are in your house. You can move that beer. You're lucky enough to be able to do that. You know, there's certain things you want to take pictures of that they're stationary, and you have to depend on what nature's going to throw you.
Well, if your light's a little off, can you increase the exposure value to get a little better lighting?
You can brighten some things up in your app. With my phone, like I said, the difference between iPhone and Android is iPhone locks out any manual controls that you can use in the camera. So it's pretty much going to select the best thing, because Apple, they don't want to show a bad picture. So that camera is going to do everything it can to take the best picture for you, and they do take great pictures. I would never shoot down Apple in that aspect at all. Those phones take great shots.
Well, I think they want people who don't have any idea what to do to be able to take a good
exactly, and that's the way it is. They want to impress the
they want to give that phone to my mom and then have her take a great picture. So you've got to keep it simple.
Your Android phone, you should be able to go into your camera settings and actually change your ISO. This is a little more technological camera stuff, but the higher the ISO, the brighter the picture is going to be, but the grainier it can be too. So you want to stay as low as you can. You really want to use the natural light the most you can. But beefing up your ISO to say 200, 400, is going to give you a little more light. You're just going to have a little more grain to deal with. So you
The
can
S5 goes up to 8.
Yeah, it goes up to 8, and you're not going to ever want to be there with a cell phone. With a DSLR, no problem. You can go up to 2,000. But with a cell phone, you're not going to want to be up in the 8 range. The sensor's just not big enough. It's a very, very small little sensor. So like I said, with the point and shoot, I know nobody really wants to go spend any more money, but it has Wi-Fi built in, and it can send it to your phone and to your iPod or your tablet of choice. And
that's the Canon S111, brought to you by Paul Varricchione. Canon, you're on the Canon payroll, aren't you? That's what your day job is. You're a Canon.
No, I love Canon, but I'll speak for Nikon too. I mean, it's the same thing.
I was gonna say your DSLR was a Nikon, so you must share the love.
It's a Canon. It's a Canon.
Was it?
Yeah.
You had Nikon's.
Nikon's look good stuff too. I mean, it's the same thing. There's so many point and shoots now that maybe Nikon I think they might put out $100 one that puts out that sends to Wi-Fi and has some manual controls, and you can get some better shots. But I mean, I know nobody's gonna go out and buy this just to shoot pictures of their beer.
Yeah.
But they do other things too, and it's great. Especially if we love taking pictures of your beer. I mean, let's face it, we all love our good food, and we get excited and we want to post pictures of it. The same thing happens with great beer when you're like, oh my god, this tastes so good, I got to show the world, and you want that good shot, and you're in like a dimly lit place that has this one beer that you've really wanted to have for forever, but that was the only place you could get it, and you get that one shot with your cell phone, and you're like, but you can't really move. I mean, if you could take that beer somewhere with some better light, you'd get a great shot. You got a little more play.
Sometimes there's good light in the bathroom. You could, The
bathroom actually is a great place. It is. I'll give it that. The light's contained in a small area.
I don't think people like it when you get your camera out while you're in the bathroom, though. So I mean,
no,
get ready to fight if you do that.
Well, it depends on if they're already in there using the bathroom.
It does. Probably, there's a lot of depending on that, and you might actually get a good show if you went into the bathroom. Somebody might encourage that kind of behavior.
Get some perspective.
Yeah, some perspective. Let me put this in perspective.
Look up. They may not like you looking up.
To reiterate a little bit, any of you feel free to follow me or circle me in any aspect, and feel free to reach out to me, and I am more than willing to get back to anybody with anything, any questions, anything.
I mean, you can reach out to him. Just don't reach out to him. Just don't reach out to him if he's in the bathroom with a beer and a camera. I mean,
yeah, I'll let you know.
Guys need some privacy. All right. Well, we're kind of we've blown our half hour here. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk real quick about the review of the week. And the review of this week is actually a video review. So you're going to have to come to Google Plus to find it, or come to the blog and find it. We're going to post Simon Martin. Guy does I don't even know what he calls his show anymore. It used to be Real Ale Beer something. I think it's Real Ale Craft Beer now on YouTube. But he's got a zillion followers. He's really funny. He's from Wales, the Wild Welshman. And he reviewed Oberon from Bell's. And he scored it a little higher than I would have scored it. But what I think is interesting about his review is he takes a beer that some people here in the craft beer snobbery circles will pan because it's so available and it's so whatever. But it isn't really a bad beer, and he looks at it for what it is. Being a European that doesn't get a lot of American craft beer, he takes that perspective on it. It's new, it's interesting, and it really isn't a bad beer. So he does a nice review on that, and that'll be in the community. It's Simon Martin does Bell's Oberon. A couple of releases coming out. Stone looks like they've got a pretty good listing here. They've taken their smoked porter, which apparently they like to put all kinds of different flavors in. There was a vanilla, there was a chipotle. Now they've got a chocolate and orange peel. So that's kind of interesting. That's coming out. Doesn't say when. They also are going to sell some vintage beer. They must have had some things in the warehouse putting some age on it, and they are going to put some Ep.013 on the shelves in their stores. So that's got a couple of years on it. Some first edition Woot Stout from the Farking Wheaton thing, and some 2012 Old Guardian barley wine, and that's all coming out here in September. So if you're near Stone, or if you've got a good Stone distributor, look for some of those old beers with a little bit of age on it. Southern Tier has got the first is a British style IPA from their Brewers Star series. I'm not familiar with that series. What was their Backstage? Was their series with the big stouts?
It's a new series that they're coming out now. They're gonna call it the Star Series, and so it's gonna be they're gonna go and do like around the world kind of beer scene, and the first one is a British style IPA.
All right, well that'll be interesting. Firestone Walker's got the Velvet Merkin. 2014 is coming out. I think Lola's had some of that. Didn't you have? Didn't you guys have that on a Girls Pint Inn or something?
I'm pretty sure I did. I remember. You didn't like it, Vicky?
Oh, I love the Merkin. I don't. If you had it on a Girls Pint Inn, it was a while ago.
Yeah, that's the aged version.
Oatmeal. It's an aged version of oatmeal stout. Deschutes has got, oh my gosh, Zara Bandana Saison out. Anchor's got Big Leaf Maple Autumn Red, which sounds kind of interesting. I haven't seen it. Usually you see marketing with Anchor stuff. I haven't seen that around. Cigar City's got their Oktoberfest Fest beer out. Hardywood Park here in Virginia has got a Snapdragon Blackberry Wild Ale aged for 2 years. That brewery is only 2 years old, so that must be something they jammed in the barrel pretty early. Heavy Seas has got the Greater Pumpkin Bourbon Barrel Aged Ale coming out, so that's kind of exciting there. And then Russian River's got a Framboise or a Cure, and this is a beer that they're going to sell and raise money for the Sutter Breast Cancer Fund. So it provides a free or inexpensive screening and treatment for men and women battling breast cancer. So there's some beer that you can buy that's got a good cause behind it too. And if it's from Russian River, you know it's a delicious beer to begin with.
Yep.
Festival-wise coming up, we've got the 6th Annual Fall Harvest Brew Fest in Fort Collins, Colorado. That's the 5th of September. The 22nd Great Canadian Beer Festival in Victoria, BC. That's this weekend. Taste of Tennessee Craft Brewers Festival in Nashville. That's this coming weekend. I would bet my left arm that our good friends at Tennessee Brew Works, since it's in Nashville, are going to be a part of that, and they make some fantastic beer. If you're in Tennessee or Nashville around there, go see it. Craft Beer Festival, California Beer Festival, Claremont and California this weekend. The Great Atlanta Beer Festival at Atlanta Braves Field. Go Braves. This weekend. Lancaster Craft Beer Fest in Lancaster. Go Amish. Go Amish. Charleston Beer Week in Charleston, South Carolina. That is next weekend, the 7th and the 13th. Or actually,
that's probably going to be that's going to be epic, I bet.
Yeah. The Charleston Beer Week. I mean, that looks like there's a website for it, charlestonbeerweek.com. So.
Yeah, they're going to be in several different venues. So it's going to be spread around the city.
The 49th Annual Mount Angel Oktoberfest, Village of Mount Angel, Oregon. That's next weekend, the 11th and 12th. And this weekend, finally, we've talked about it for 3 weeks now, is the Orange County Brouhaha in Oak Canyon Park, Orange County, California. So that is the rundown on the festivals, the releases, the fun stuff.
Matt.
Yeah.
Breathe in and breathe out.
There's also this weekend here in Woodbridge, there's a beer and bacon festival, and then next weekend on the 13th in DC, there's a beer festival called Snallygaster, which is put on by the same group that owns Church Key and Birch and Barley and Rustico, and their tap list is amazing. So that's going to be a really good beer festival next weekend on the 13th in DC.
So beer and bacon this weekend. And did you say Snallygaster?
Snallygaster.
All right, that's a clever, interesting name there. So that'll be good. And I think this is the time of year that no matter where you live, just look at a calendar. They like to do beer festivals in September and October here. So look on your map.
Yeah, we have one here the 19th and 20th as well. So
there we go. Yeah, they're all over the place. So this is a good time of year to get good beer. Harvest ales are coming out. Those fresh, wet hop beers. Spiced beers are out. Lagers are out. Oktoberfest and Marzens are out. So find that. And we went 10 minutes over, but that's life. When you've got an interesting guest that talks, I couldn't even interrupt him. I mean, the guy was just rolling. So
sorry.
But this is important stuff because the craft beer nation, the craft beer community in Google Plus is all beer picks. Mm-hmm. So I think every person there is going to be interested in knowing some of these tips that Paul's got. And we'll probably try and put a post together here with some of the links to the camera that he was talking about on and on and on again. And I mean, the guy loves that little Canon.
For the price, it takes great shots.
Yeah, we can put on the event. Charles can probably load all of them in the event.
And we'll post some of Paul's work that is copyright free, so you guys can make wallpapers out of some. So, I mean, that picture, that action shot was just incredible. So you've got to come.
Again, feel free to circle me and ask me any questions.
There you go. Your photographer on call, Paul Varricchione. And that is the show, everyone. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. Find some good friends. Find some good beer. And until next week, mind your P's and Q's.